Alright, on this video we will be installing the OEM Plus replica suspension from MaXPeedingRods. Now I've ran a lot of coilover setups in my 8th gen Civic from MaXPeedingRods, but we've been running OEM suspension for some time, since now this car is a dedicated daily driver. And you know what, I'm refreshing my vehicle here. I'm installing new bearings all around on the vehicle, some new ball joints, some tie rod ends, some little loose ends that the car needs to be a very good daily driver. And as we are approaching 130,000 miles, I figured I might as well change out the suspension. Now this isn't original suspension, this is another OEM replica design shock that we have been running probably here for 30 to 40,000 miles from Amazon, I believe. And you know, they've been doing just fine, no problems with them, but they do have that 30 to 40,000 miles on them. And when I'm going to be changing the hubs and the bearings and all the suspension components, I might as well throw in some new shocks in this thing to last me a couple more years. So if you're not familiar, MaXPeedingRods now offers OEM replica suspension for many applications. So if you're looking not to lower your car, just to maintain it with good parts so you can get the most mileage out of your vehicle, and your stock shocks are blown, they're clunking, they're making noise, or your top hats are blown, the most budget-friendly option is getting a one-piece fully complete shock, strut, top hat suspension setup just like this. Comes with the rear shocks, comes with the front shocks, and everything you need to bolt it on. So while we're doing these bearings on this vehicle and doing the suspension work, I am going to be swapping out to the OEM MaXPeedingRods shocks. Alright, and there you can see the OEM suspension on the left, MaXPeedingRods on the right. As you can see, the brackets are the same, pretty much same exact design, just brand new, refreshed. You got your boots, you got your bump stops, and you got your coil spring rubber cover. So let's throw this one on. We already installed the brand new knuckle and hub assembly, so we're just gonna button everything down here and install that shock. Alright guys, so I'm ready to install the rear shocks. And so with the rear shocks, the way you want to approach it, very simple. We're not touching the spring since these are divorced. The shock and the spring is divorced. So you got 114 that you're going to drop from here, and then going into the back of your trunk, you got to get rid of this fabric. And I got another 14 right on top, and just remove those and the shock comes out. There you go, shock is out. So the first thing I noticed that this is all metal construction. Oh, this was metal too actually, yeah, so same thing pretty much. Actually has the same part number as the old generic shock. The only thing I want to point out, I've been using the factory top bushings just because of how round they are and how well they fit into the shock tower body. You see, all these aftermarket ones actually come with like different bushings. You see the size difference here? Look, you see it's smaller and it doesn't support the sides of the shock tower. Let me show you what I mean. You see, when you put it here, there's plenty of space for this to still move around, as you can see. whereas the factory one, it literally sits perfect all around. So I don't know, I think I'm gonna use I'm gonna keep using the factory ones. So I actually did use the ones that came with the MaXPeedingRods, and actually they flatten quite out and they are taking shape of the whole circumference. So I'm gonna give them a go, try them out. But yeah, so far so good. Install was easy. We're gonna jump to the other side. Alright guys, finished installing the suspension, and it's been about 2 weeks since I've been driving this car on the MaXPeedingRods OEM Style Suspension, and I gotta say, it's been doing fantastic. Comparing it specifically to their coilovers, which when I ran their Series 1 coilovers, every time you went over a bump, you hear those coilovers hiss, like air hissing. And these OEMs, just like you would expect, behave just like OEM. And no complaints at all after 2 weeks, no squeaking, no issues turning. It's just looking great, fantastic. The only complaint I have with these shocks and springs, and just pretty much every other manufacturer that makes springs and shocks for these 8th gen Civics, when you get the OEM replacement, you know, the front shocks come with the shock and the spring and the top hat. And the problem is that those springs are new springs. They haven't been compressed, you know, there's no years of compression there. But the rear ones, it's only the shocks that come with the kit. So what happens is, over time, your rear springs are sagging. Yeah, you put new shocks in, but the rear springs are still sagging from 15 years of being on the vehicle and carrying a load, where the front shocks are brand new, they haven't worn in. So what I've noticed is that the front actually, again, sits higher than the back. I mean, I don't know if you could see it on camera, but the front end definitely got raised up quite a bit from the new suspension. So all in all, not a big complaint, because again, I'm not running stands. This is an OEM Plus setup, so I don't really care. But just if you are getting something like that, keep in mind the front's gonna probably be up a little bit and the back's gonna sag. I don't even know if they make OEM replacement springs. I think your only option would be to get a new set of rear springs as well that are OEM spec, if you want the ride height to be somewhat even. But not a big deal in this case for a 15-year-old car. Really good review for the MaXPeedingRods OEM suspension. Definitely would recommend it for your vehicles if you're looking to refresh your OEM suspension.
I ain't here for the money, I ain't here for the fame. Though it might be nice to own a jet plane, I'ma do it all for you. Come along and see it's true, but the world is pretty cold. You might need a sweater too. I'ma put a ride on ya. Kid from California, trying to make it in life. In school they never taught ya. Dreams of my own.